Conservative Republican Duncan Hunter has been the congressman out of San Diego, California. He was chairman of the House Armed Services Committee. He served in Vietnam with the Army Rangers, won the Bronze Star. He had a son who served as a lieutenant in the United States Marine Corps in Iraq. And we welcome him here to Bud Hedinger Live on 540 WFLA and around the globe on the World Wide Web. It is nice to have you with us, Congressman and presidential candidate Duncan Hunter. Thanks for coming by.
Hey, Bud, thanks a lot. Great to be with you. How you folks doing today?
We're doing just fine, and we're honored to have you with us. I cannot for the life of me figure out why polls don't indicate that you're one of the guys at the top of the pile. I sometimes do not understand how the entire mechanism works, that some really great people seem to stay second tier in the polls when they've got first tier positions. How would you assess your situation?
Well, listen, Bud, when you run for president, coming out of a congressional seat, and you start with 153rd of the state of California, which was my district, was a 52nd congressional district in California, still is. You've got a lot of work to do and a lot of folks to cover, and you got to contact literally hundreds of millions of Americans, and we're out doing that. We're working hard, trying to get my name out and my issues out. But when we get them out, we do very well. And we won the Texas straw poll at the Texas State Convention. We won the Arizona straw poll among elected Republican leaders in Arizona. And we tied McCain and Giuliani in the first big straw poll held east of the Mississippi in South Carolina with 22%. So when we have a focused audience, we do good. We just got a lot of ground to cover. You're helping me do that right now.
Well, there you go, and we're happy to do it. I hate to sound like a debate moderator. I want to give you 1 minute to give us the most compelling reason why a vote should be cast for Duncan Hunter for president.
If you believe in a strong national defense, and you want somebody there who doesn't need on-the-job training, and I've been the chairman of the Armed Services Committee for the last 4 years. I've been on that committee for 26 years. Then I think you need to look at my credentials to be commander-in-chief. And if you want somebody who will control the border, I built the border fence in San Diego, that double fence that reduced smuggling by more than 90% of both illegal aliens and narcotics. And I wrote the law that takes it across Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas for 854 miles. And lastly, I'll bring back high-paying manufacturing jobs that we pushed offshore with bad trade deals. We pushed 1.8 million American jobs to communist China alone.
How are you going to get them back, sir?
Trade.
How are you going to get them back?
You do it by putting countervailing duties on China's goods, which are presently being shipped to us in violation, in blatant cheating on trade, by devaluing their money by more than 40%, which undercuts every American product on the marketplace. You got to stand up to communist China. And we've got to pass a countervailing duty law or hit them with countervailing duties, which the president could do right now.
I hate to hopscotch over all the issues, but I do want to give our callers the chance I promised them to speak with you, Congressman Hunter. Abortion's a big issue. Rudy Giuliani leading in the polls, but it's a deal breaker for a lot of rock-solid conservatives that he's a pro-choice guy. Nobody seems tougher on the right-to-life issue than Duncan Hunter. You're even calling for a constitutional amendment to protect the unborn.
That's it. And I've been pro-life my entire career. And as president, you pick judges. And if a judicial candidate appears before me and can pick up a sonogram of an unborn child and look at it and say that's not a valuable human life, I'm not going to appoint that guy to the federal bench.
That's going to be a litmus test for Duncan Hunter.
That's it.
Got it. On taxes. Obviously, as a conservative, balanced budget guy, etc., fair tax advocate?
Yeah, I like the fair tax because, we're really paying two taxes now. We pay the taxes that we pay to the U.S. government, then we're paying this $250 billion in taxes basically for the overhead of maintaining the IRS, of preparing our taxes in a very complicated situation and defending them. And that money doesn't go to anything. It's a cost of overhead and the bureaucracy. We need to get rid of that. Get rid of the IRS. I like the fair tax, which also is a playing field for our companies that export products to other countries. We're being double taxed with our exports. Our competitors are paying, in some cases, no tax.
We're talking with Congressman Duncan Hunter, who is running for the presidential nomination on the Republican side. I've always liked him. I want to give you an opportunity to connect with him because every day on this program, it is abundantly clear to me that a lot of you conservatives are still out there wandering in the wilderness, and you haven't found any one candidate that quite fills the bill for you. Here is Calvin in Orlando with presidential candidate and Congressman Duncan Hunter. Hello, Calvin.
Hello, good afternoon, and God bless. Mr. Hunter, on your stance on illegal immigration, you hear most illegal immigrants come to America for a better life and for jobs. Will you target companies that hire illegal immigrants that also take jobs from the hard-working Americans who want to have that money? Will you target big business who hires illegal immigrants?
Thank you, Calvin.
Answer, absolutely. And, when they made the raids on the Swift plants in Iowa, and they moved out about 850 people that were there illegally, we found that the next day Americans were lined up to get their old jobs back. So people coming in illegally are taking jobs from hard-working Americans. But what we've got to do is we have to seal that border. This country is like a boat that's got a big hole in it, and we're bailing water furiously. Some of the liberals say what we really need is more water. But if we patch that hole in the boat, that means if we build a fence across the southern border and we have enough border patrolmen to man it and we enforce the border, then we're going to be able to turn on internal enforcement. That means taking people out of jobs where they're working illegally.
Have you signed on to the SAVE Act, Heath Shuler's bill that
Yes.
penalizes businesses who knowingly hire illegals?
Yes. Heath Shuler's bill that came out, I think, just a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
Yeah, but I put my own bill out that penalizes folks that, and we have got laws on the books, incidentally, that give penalties to people who knowingly hire illegals. Here's the problem. The problem is you deport somebody at 2:00 in the afternoon now, and they're back by 6:00. It's a revolving door because there's no enforceable border on our southern boundaries. And we built my border fence. That's the 854 miles that is now mandated in law for construction. And we've got $800 million in cash sitting there available to build that fence right now. We build that fence. That means when we deport somebody, they're not going to be back at 6:00 in the evening. We're going to eliminate the revolving door. That will allow us to deport folks, and when we deport them, they will stay deported. That's the key to solving this problem.
Very quickly on the Security and Prosperity partnership that set the stage for this NAFTA superhighway, this deal cooked up by President Bush and his counterparts in Canada and Mexico. I know that you are vehemently opposed to that. You've blown the cover off this thing they've been trying to keep secret. As president, how much of that can you undo, given the NAFTA commitments?
Well, listen, I think we ought to pull out of NAFTA. We've got the right to pull back from trade deals that aren't good. Right now, if you make something in your town and you take it to the border with Mexico to be imported into Mexico to be sold there, there's no free trade. You will find a 15% tax that you will be hit with at the border. It's only free if it's coming north, not if it's going south. So, we had a $3 billion trade surplus over Mexico when we passed NAFTA. I predicted we'd go into a major loss. We immediately went into a $15 billion trade loss. But with respect to the so-called NAFTA highway, I offered an amendment that passed 360 to about 60 that said that the administration could spend no transportation money in planning for the NAFTA highway. And one of the administration guys said, well, we don't plan any NAFTA highway anyway. I said, you're in luck then. You won't have to worry about it.
Talking with Congressman Duncan Hunter out of San Diego, by his schedule until 3:20. That's 5 minutes from now. Presidential candidate Duncan Hunter, conservative Republican. Let's try to keep the questions and answers as succinct as we can. I'd appreciate it. Here is Larry from Kissimmee for Congressman Hunter. Hello there, Larry.